Hello, and welcome back to Unpacking with Jennifer. I am so excited today. There's so many things I want to talk about. So, first of all, I'm just going to talk about my week, my few days with our beautiful daughter Charlotte. She is adorable, and this week we got to lose some teeth. And that's so funny because she wants her teeth to come out because some of her friends are getting braces and she thinks it's really cool. But when they are wiggly, then she's mad that they're wiggly and it's bugging her, and she keeps trying to wiggle them and this, that, and the other. So on Saturday, I just pulled the tooth out. I mean, it was ready to come out, but I pulled it out. And then 2 days later, the other tooth on the opposite side, same thing. The tooth fairy left $10 each. And she explained the first night that she got $10. She explained it to her tutor. The reason she got $10 was because she washes her teeth after I pull them or after they come out. And she said they're super sparkly and bougie. She doesn't even know what bougie means. She has no clue what bougie means. And she said it, and I just died. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. These are the moments I think are just so funny. It is so funny to me that she says these words and I'm just like, what are you even saying, kid? And then on Monday night, the other tooth was ready to rock, and I told her I wouldn't pull it, and because ultimately I don't care. She wants her tooth pulled, I'll do it, but I'm not sitting there like waiting to pull her tooth. I pulled it and the tooth fairy left $10 more. I mean, this kid apparently has more money than we do. So then she also scrubbed it down really clean. And that's why the tooth fairy gave her so much, because they were very clean teeth, which, again, adorable. She's a box of kittens. Another thing Miss Charlotte said while we were driving home yesterday from her 75 events that she has after school, and mom Uber driver / Satel was ready to party and listen to all of the things. And we normally in the car with her, I do love like techno, EDM. I love all sorts of music, but sometimes I listen to that. And with Charlotte in the car, we usually listen to like a Imagine Dragon radio or something a little more mellow, maybe like Counting Crows radio. She's super into Sabrina Carpenter. I personally am not a fan of the lyrics. It's someone her age. But whatever, we just try to mix it up a little bit, and I try to fast forward if there's a song that I don't like or that I think is going to be inappropriate. So I'm listening to I Don't Even Know, and it was the Kendrick Lamar song, I Don't Even Know, Not About Us, whatever he sang at the Super Bowl, and one of the songs. So she says, I go to fast forward it because we know there's going to be a lot of F words, which as most of you will come to find out, and also if you know me, the F word is my favorite word. It is more... It brings every story to life. If you throw in the F word, if you say mother effer, if you say fuck this, fuck all of that, it just brings some spice. So as much as I don't want to say she's heard that word before, she has, but the song was on, blah, blah, blah. I go to fast forward it. She's like, no, mommy, that's Kendrick Lamar. And I'm like, how do you know Kendrick Lamar? She's like, he was at the Super Bowl. And I'm like, oh, were you even sitting with us when we watched it? She's like, no, but he sang whatever the song was. So she started singing the chorus because that's what she knows. The other stuff is just a whole bunch of bad words and some rap. And I really honestly don't really know what was being said because I don't listen to that always. And she goes, Mommy, he has a beef with Drake. I wonder what the beef's about. I'm like, I don't know, Charlotte. What is that beef about? I have no idea. I'm not there. Yeah, they have a big beef, I guess. I guess so too. I don't know. So I'm dying of laughter internally. I'm like, dang, you're so stinking cute. I don't know why Kendrick Lamar and Drake have beef, but let me tell you about a rapper beef story I can trump you with. Charlotte, in 1997, there were these two rappers during this time period, Tupac on the West Coast, Biggie on the East Coast. It was always about East Coast, West Coast. It became so terrible, they both died. They both got shot and got killed within a couple months of each other. She was like, what? And I'm like, that was a beef, Charlotte. I don't know what this little beef is, but that was some serious beef back then. It's like two legends in music and gone by just a stupid beef. So that was something that you just sit back and go, see, no one tells you about this as a parent. There's stuff that they say, stuff that happens, meltdowns that happen, things that happen. And you're just like, who told you this stuff? Who let you know that one day you're going to be driving and she's going to ask you about a beef between two rappers? Who knew? I didn't know. I had no idea. But I will tell you, it was the highlight of my day yesterday. She just makes me laugh so hard. So another thing is I'm probably going to have Charlotte. She really wants to introduce herself. So I think during the next podcast, maybe, or the next recording, I will introduce Charlotte. She really thinks she's going to be like a YouTuber because that's what she watches. People opening makeup and face care. Now it's all about skincare. I don't know if you guys, you listeners, have girls this age. I don't know. I do ask some of my clients that have girls that are around Charlotte's age between like 7 and maybe 10 or 11 and ask them like, what's going on with this skincare craze? Because when you're 8 and 9 years old, why in the hell are you having a skincare routine? I mean, sure. Should she wash her face? Yes. Do I push it? Not right now. Her skin's so sensitive anyway to anything. I just don't. But now it's all this stuff at Ulta and Sephora and Bubble and Bayuma and Touchland and all this stuff. And it is hilarious, but it's banana crazy. And she's like, well, mommy, you're supposed to do skincare routines 5 times a day. I'm like, when? When are you doing it 5 times a day? You have 8-year-old, barely 9-year-old skin. What are you doing? You're putting lotion on your face? You don't need to do that. But mommy, it says, I'm like, show me where it says. So I go and I get my detective hat and I see it says morning and night was the only instructions that she would have seen. And I said, see, honey, it's 2 times a day, morning and night. Okay. And I said, because if you do it 5 times a day, that $9 million skincare that you had to have is going to last only a few days. And you only got, $75 for your birthday and you've spent more than that. And I've now spent money on your skincare. So let's put a kibosh on this 5 times a day business. So that is, I don't know. It's so funny. Like I don't remember a lot of time around this age. I remember certain things. I feel like most of my memories started in about 5th and 6th grade, maybe 6th grade, some 5th grade. But I mean, I think I don't even know. What did I even have? Like exclamation perfume because Debbie Gibson had it. I think she had her black like hat in the video, and I was really excited about it. I don't even remember washing my face. I probably just used like a bar of Dial. I don't even know. I don't remember all this stuff. But I'll tell you, I hadn't been in an Ulta in a while, and holy moly, they've stepped up their game too. But I'm like, Charlotte's asking the lady at the front where she could find Bubble. Like I told her she had to ask because I don't want it. So she asked. I mean, it's just crazy. I feel like she's 8 going on 15. And I know every generation probably says that, they're growing up so fast. Their vocabulary is different. I mean, Charlotte's vocabulary, some of the stuff she said, I'm like, I never even knew that at all. And at that age. And I know part of it is watching videos and YouTube and stuff like that. But it's so fast. It's just crazy. And it makes me happy and it's cute, but it also makes me so sad because when I look at her when she's crying or she's having a meltdown, last week we had a really rough week. She was just a little girl just crying in her bed. And she was not telling me about Drake and Kendrick Lamar's beef. So yeah, so that's Charlotte for you. She's hilarious. The other thing I want to mention is I had to take my car in. I don't do car shit. I hate car stuff. I feel as though, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, and not all ladies, I know some people are so into car stuff. They love getting their oil changed and taking their car, and they're not a sucker. They see me a mile away, and I'm telling you, I am a sucker, and they love suckers. They're like, this is what you need, $7 million in tires. This is at the dealership. They tell me today that this little noise that I have in my car, which I made an appointment for. And then when I get there, they're like, oh, by the way, we have 12 people in front of you, so you may not even get your car. We might not be able to look at till like Friday or Monday. I'm like, then why'd you have me come in today? So now I got to rent a car because I'm like, well, can't I just take my car home? And they're like, well, no, because we don't know when we're going to finish. What if we finish faster and we get it in tomorrow? Oh, okay. Well, all right. That just seems kind of dumb. And now I regret going to the dealership, but I always go to the dealership because it's what I do. I've spent more money on bullshit. I've gotten taken advantage of, and I hate car stuff. And then David gets mad at me because I don't say anything. But then I'm like, I don't know if they're just telling me because they want me to spend more money, or if they're telling me because I really do need tires, or I really do need this, or I really do need that. So that is something that I just feel I'm always taken advantage of. It's never just easy like oil change. It's never just, it's this, that, and the other. And I don't feel I should have to pay for a rental car, but I guess I do. And I don't want to, but I guess I have to, unless I'm roller skating, which I don't know how to do. So I'm in a pickle. That's where I'm at. I'm in a pickle. So, okay. Today I want to talk about when I go into clients' houses, when I go into their space, their living space. And I think I mentioned before, every single person asks me if this is the worst house they've ever seen. And I can truly say I have done hoarder houses, and not a lot. There are some that have been maybe borderline, but there's a lot of stuff. I've seen lots of stuff, but true hoarders, yes. When people reach out, sometimes it's for an immediate fix. Like I see on social media, a lot of these mommy groups on Facebook or whatever, it's like, I need an organizer now. And then people get recommended. And if it's local, I'm usually on that list, which is great. And usually when you're reaching out, it's because you've hit your threshold, right? You've hit your threshold. We all have hit our threshold in different ways. Sometimes it's your diet. You're like, I don't want to be in my fat pants. Maybe it's a boyfriend or a relationship or relationships with friends or your job. We all hit a threshold. We reach out for help. We call uncle. We call time of death. And when I go into people's houses, there is a lot of emotion to several percent of the people. Like, when I hit your threshold, I think people are just like, I just want to get rid of this shit. I can't handle these rooms. I can't take it. I'm dying. I'm drowning, blah, 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 which is true. But then there's some people that have just a really, really tough emotional connection to things. I give you this as an example, and I probably will talk about it 100 million more times. Let's just say grandparents passed away 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and your parents inherited all the stuff. They inherited all of the stuff. China, furniture pieces you thought maybe you can use, but you weren't ready to get rid of because we all think that, what if? There is, and then your parents maybe pass away, unfortunately. Plus, we're in a generation and a time in the world and in our life where no one really uses China anymore. Maybe you do. Please, if you do, that's fantastic. But do you know how many China sets I see in people's homes that aren't even out of the fabric little holders for all of the plates and bowls and things? And yes, there are some people that they do it once a year, maybe on the holidays, or they're having some kind of, holiday thing. Sure. But 3 sets, no. And then there's also, it's just, they're not going to get rid of it. They're absolutely not going to get rid of it. I use China as an example because typically a set, what is it? You get like 16, maybe 12. Sometimes people get like, I've seen people with like 32 sets of China. Like that's each piece, that's each bowl, each, saucer and cup and bowl and plate and salad plate. And like, that's half the kitchen. And in some of these kitchens, that's all the kitchen. And you don't even use China. You use paper plates or you use plastic plates that you get at Target for 50 cents because they're easy and the kids can destroy them, or you can destroy them, or you don't want to do dishes, or whatever the situation is. We all have these situations, and I try to tell you about them because I see it daily, literally daily. Emotional connection, also childhood stuff that maybe you had, you wanted your daughter to have it, or little dresses or whatever. And in theory, maybe, I don't know. I go into people's homes with I have a lot of empathy. I have really no judgment in terms of, now I do joke with you if we work together for a bit and be like, really, you need 72 black t-shirts? Okay, great. But I mean, if you're not ready to get rid of something, you're not ready to get rid of it. You're absolutely not ready to get rid of it. There are people that go in and they want all the shit gone. They want it gone yesterday. They want you to burn it. They don't care. There is no connection. There's also people who feel guilty about getting rid of something. And it doesn't even have to be something that's like, Nana made me this blanket, or my aunt who passed away, made me this blanket and I want to keep it. Please keep it. And you're never going to use it, but please keep it. It makes you have a great memory. That's what we want. We want great memories. We want our house to feel like a home. We want these memories to be special. And, for your kids, we want them to be special too, thinking like, oh, here's mommy's very first, little dress I wore to church. And I wanted you to have it. Or maybe you put her in it. Maybe you put your daughter in it or your son or whatever. But a lot of times they just don't care. There's just not that sentimental connection. And that's hard for the parent to see. We have guilt. Guilt literally is such a big burden. I have people that will feel better if they're purging stuff and they'll put it in a box and be like, well, I'll just give this to my mom. Or, you know what? My cousin Sue, she's coming in from, Oklahoma during the break. I'm going to put it in my garage for 5 months. And when I see her, I'm going to give it to her because one time she told me she liked it. We feel better if we give it to somebody that we know, or maybe even somebody that would appreciate it, which is great. But a lot of times on the receiving end of that, we take it because we don't want to hurt their feelings. I mean, people give me stuff all the time. Usually it's for Charlotte. Most of the time, I would say 85% of the time, she loves it. She uses it. And then she doesn't. And then I donate it and pay it forward. And it's not a big deal. Or they gave me clothes when she was little, or even clothes now and shoes. And same thing. If she uses it, great. If she doesn't want it, when I bring it home, pay it forward. Take it to donation. Give it to people that don't have anything, please, by all means. But there's this guilt, and I see it, and it weighs people down. They feel so guilty getting rid of something. I'm like, take a picture of it. Or if you feel I want to get rid of it, don't get rid of it today. But sometimes it's paralyzing, and I've seen it take over. There's a lot of different ways to analyze the emotional connection to stuff. There is, I had a very hard time getting rid of Charlotte's baby stuff and most of the toys and stuff. There was a couple toys. And by toys, I mean like the little stuffed animals that talked or taught her the ABCs. I did keep one or two of those, but her clothes, especially like her pajamas, those first 6 months, that's all she lived in. Those are all my at home with her memories. So there was a few times where I wasn't ready to get rid of, but in the beginning, I kept everything. The first couple years, I had all the bins of clothes. And then I was like, the elastic's going to break. I'm not going to be able to do anything with these. Let me give them before they get ruined. Let me give them to, the donation so the families that don't have anything can have it. I have a million pictures. Yes, I do have one bin of some of my favorites, little shoes and stuff like that. But parents think, or grandparents or whatever, parents, grandparents, great grandparents, they all think so-and-so is going to love it. They're going to wait. They're not. They're not. You know how many houses I go to where there's teenagers there? And I would say anything over 15 years old. And they're like, do you want this? No. They don't even look at it. No. When you get this bin, do you want to see your stuff from when you were in elementary school? Why would I want to do that? I don't care. But we feel that they care. We feel that they want it because we think that they want it. And that's something that I can't change who you are and how you believe and your emotional connection to stuff. I can tell you that not every day do you have to get rid of something. If we're in the process of purging and you're not ready, you're not ready. Move on. Let's put it in a bin, put it in the side, put it in your closet, keep it, hold on to it, remember it. But then also think about when are we using this stuff? I don't really bring this stuff out. Maybe make one bin of memories or 2 bins of memories that truly are memories, that things that bring you joy. So with that being said, guilt, emotional connections, people that feel guilty, it's really hard for some people to get rid of stuff. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of stuff. I never grew up with a lot of stuff. Single parent, I'm not saying I didn't have stuff, but I didn't have any connection to stuff. My stuff was probably thrown out. I know my mom and I at one point, I think we had, a few things thrown out, like in a move or something. And I think that's why it makes it easy for me. I have emotional connections now. And of course, like when I was in high school and, great years of my life, I have some really fun memories and I love pictures, but I don't love stuff. Like you know, I think there's a lot of, mental triggers. You grew up with one pair of jeans, so now you have 175. You didn't have shoelaces in your shoes. Now you have 500 pairs of shoes. I mean, there's all these different things that are, they can be surface or they can be deep, 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 sitting down on a couch, laying down on a couch and spending a lot of money talking about it. Sometimes people are, it just depends who they are. It depends on what moment they're in when they reach out to somebody to help them, an organizer, to come in and help them get their life back in order. But it's just a matter of if they're ready to actually purge or if they just want us to, just make it streamlined, find spaces for stuff and go from there. It's, there's a lot to it. It's not just going in and making things look pretty. And I do a lot of stuff that is not really even organizing, to be completely honest. I do a lot of purge and packs. Like I'll help people pack, purge, and then pack up their home. And if it's local, a lot of times I help them they get movers and then I go and set up the houses. I help with furniture and transitioning rooms, like I've mentioned. And there's just so many different things that people have this connection to stuff. And the fires right now, I was kind of joking with a couple of my clients that really just have an abundance of stuff. And I'm not saying in a hoarder status, but I am saying it like maybe shopaholic, shoppers anonymous status. And it's not, I just try to help and guide. And, obviously too, if you have 50 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag, I mean, I can work some miracles, but not every time. We gotta do a little bit of a purge, or you need to stop spending every month. I always give them a goal. Don't spend anything for 1 month and just use what you have and see how exciting it is. But yeah, with the fires and everything, if they yell fire and you have to evacuate, I mean, we all know you're not loading up all those shoes. You're not loading up, decor. You're not going to bring out, you're going to grab what you can. In some cases you might be able to bring a little bit more, but I mean, sometimes it really is grab your shit and grab your pets and grab your kids and just go. And I guess your husband or your wife, I mean, if you want. But yeah, so it's at the end of the day, sometimes the stuff is just stuff. And for some people, it has more validity than for others, So enough about that. That is something that I do talk about a lot. And I do have different scenarios. And I was kind of just touching on some of the emotional aspects of this is, I've had people where I've opened the door and introduced myself and they've started crying. I've have people that can't believe their house has gotten to the point where it's at because maybe they're in depression. During COVID, some people were really just in this funk. In terms of even though we were home or even though they just didn't want to do anything and just things got out of hand because the kids were home and it was all these different things and you're working from home. There's all these things that happen, and in some cases it's not all wrapped up in a pretty bow with a gift tag. And sometimes you just, you're in the trenches and you have to say, I need help. And I always joke with people and say, I'm the extra set of hands that we all wish we had, right? We all wish we had an extra set of hands, even for an hour, just, to help. It's just, it brings so much peace into your mind. Your mind is already at, full capacity. And then you throw in feeling overwhelmed when you come home or unorganized. And I'm not talking unorganized like my house doesn't look like Pinterest. I'm talking about you're ankle deep in stuff everywhere and you don't know where to begin because you don't know where to start. And something that takes me, you know, let's say 2 hours would take someone 2 weeks if they really did it because it's one drawer and then they get sidetracked or then it's just, I get it, but I'm going there with a soul mission. The soul mission is to help you and to find spots for everything and to make your life a little bit easier. Some people think there's also another thing that is brought up a lot is a lot of times, not always, the husband is like, why are we getting an organizer? This is stuff we can do. This is stuff that you should be able to do. Or when we, on the weekends, we'll clean out the garage or we'll do this, we'll do that. And, if you, there's so many other things going on and sometimes it just gets on the back burner and you're not in the mood or you're not feeling it or you're not ready. And my husband is a prime example. I have asked him for 4 years to clean the garage. He asked me never to touch the garage. He asked me to have the respect for him to not touch it. And it kills me every single time I see it. I just want to go in the fetal position and start crying my eyeballs out and ripping my hair out at the roots. But I also have to remember it's not me. And I'm sure there's things that I do that he also would like to body slam me or poke my eyes out or put a pillow over my face. But he doesn't, because we love each other. And he does a lot of other things that are great. But man, I'll tell you, um, that garage. I mean, and it's funny too, because I think I mentioned this before. Like, he's like, well, half the garage is yours. I'm like, oh, you mean the holiday decorations? Sure, I'll take those as mine. I mean, the family enjoys them and people see them and are pretty impressed that we have such a great setup. But sure, those are mine, not yours. Okay, great. Well, we'll just say I agree to disagree on that one. I had a client one time, she was younger, and not to say that that's a surprise, but she was a little bit younger in terms of, let's say she was in her mid 30s, and a client before had bought her a gift certificate, which I do sell, by the way. If you ever don't want to get somebody more shit, you don't want to get them more stuff that they have to worry about, get them a gift certificate for organizing. Then they don't have to worry about having to justify to their husband why you did it, why you got it. Yes, of course we can all do it, but we don't. And we don't have time. And sometimes when you're in the trenches, you don't see all the stuff. And then you have somebody else come in and you're standing there going through stuff, and I'm getting it organized and getting it set up and going through more stuff. You're like, holy shit, we just did the whole kitchen. That would have taken me 7 years. Yeah. So that is that. So back to my girl, I get sidetracked because I love talking about what I do and what I see, the mental aspect of it. Anyway, she was, I don't know, I'm gonna say mid 30s. I gave her a gift certificate, or they bought a gift certificate for her. She finally reached out. I reached out right away, and usually within like a couple days, just saying like, hey, your friend bought you a gift certificate. When you're ready, let me know. I didn't hear from her for over a year. I reached out about 2 or 3 times via email, and then I was like, well, I can't make people do it. Finally reached out to me. I met her. She said, oh, I have like a little community room in my apartment, blah, blah, blah. Can we talk in there? Sure, sure, sure. Because, she doesn't know me from Joe, right? We'll come to find out as we talk for about 20 minutes. And then she's like, okay, do you want to come up? She was a complete hoarder. Absolutely. Floor to ceiling. Couldn't even walk in. The path to get from the front door to the bathroom was literally me walking sideways with my work bag at my feet because there was not enough space. I didn't even know there were 2 couches in there in the room. I didn't even know. And I was really surprised because I feel like a lot of times it's a little bit older people, not always. And sometimes, tragedies happen. Maybe their husband of 50 years has passed away and you've inherited all this stuff. Or maybe they're 90 and their kids have also passed away. They don't have any help. And it's just shit after shit after shit. Anyways, I really was asking her questions that were hard questions, but at the same time as I really wanted to understand, and help her. Because seeing people's faces, she was very upset. She was crying and just saying she's just been going through a rough time. And, it started with, let's say, a breakup. And then it started with gaining weight. And then it started with online shopping because she didn't want to go in a store and try on stuff. And then it became, well, I get this discount off of this, and I get this off of this, and I work for this, and I get another discount. And okay, okay, okay. And then now you have a house of stuff. And I'll tell you, she was definitely ready for the help. I absolutely loved helping her. I loved seeing the progress that we made every single day. The first area that I got to was the kitchen because she was also spending so much money on takeout because she really couldn't even walk in her kitchen. So imagine you can't walk in your house and you can't walk in your kitchen. So now you're buying food and now you're gaining weight because you're eating takeout 2 to 3 times a day, probably at least 2. I mean, besides the cost factor, there's some emotional stuff in there. And I don't just go in and just, let's do this, this is how it is. And I wanted to know why. I wanted to know, and there was a slew of things that happened, relationships gone wrong, family drama. And I kind of figured out, without super diving in and getting super personal, obviously to her comfort zone, but, how it started. And it was something that you just think, oh, okay, we gained some weight and you ordered online. No, was a domino effect. And how she handled it was one day she looked up and she realized she couldn't walk in her apartment. And I was like, what do you do if they need to do, maintenance, or if something leaks or floods because it's an apartment? She's like, I would either tell them I would do it myself, or I would try to like hide and clear a path before it got so bad. There was a period where I guess it was just bad. And, she was still not embarrassed. But I was just like, imagine that, what it weighs on your head every day. The other thing, too, that kind of blew my mind, it blew my socks off, is she had a queen bed and she had a cat.
But when I first walked in there, her queen bed, on half of it was solid boxes. Solid boxes, mostly shoe boxes, but solid boxes. And I'm like, where's your freaking cat? Is your cat even alive? Like, and not in a bad way, just like, well, where's your kitty? I haven't seen your cat. Oh, she's around here somewhere. And I'm like, you cannot have your bedroom. Your bedroom is your sanctuary spot. That is your go-to. For most people, their bedroom should be their sanctuary spot. And that's something that I also tell clients, like, you have little kids. I know obviously you have a brand new baby, the baby's in there, the stuff's in there, I get it. But typically you shouldn't have kids' toys in there. You shouldn't have kids, their stuff. They have their bedroom, they have a playroom. Half the time the living room is, become theirs too. The kitchen, your bathroom has their toothpaste, toothbrush, all of that stuff that you're like, well, what the heck? You have your own bathroom. But it's like your bed, the place where you rest your head at night when you just are like, I am done. Today is done. Today, sayonara. I'm like, you have to have a spot. That was the second thing I did, was we got the kitchen to the point where she could walk in. And in the meantime, she had bought a kitchen table. She didn't have a kitchen table. Hers had broke or something. She had bought the table like 2 years ago. It was in a box somewhere in the apartment, and we found it, and then we built it. Her and I built it so that she'd have a place where she could eat until she could eat other places. I'm like, you need to have a spot. Like, you can't have a cup of coffee without, it was just heartbreaking. And I felt a connection with her, and I really enjoyed her, listening to her stories. And also I have a little bit of a, I don't know, I feel like I have a little bit of a psychology mind. I really want to get my master's in behavioral psychology, because it's understanding people and things that happen and why we do what we do sometimes. And I just was very fascinated as to the why. And let me try to help you. I can't fix, your depression. I can't, but maybe I can help. Maybe I can help you so when you walk in your apartment, you're not embarrassed, or you walk in and you don't have to move 37 things to get to the one thing that you need, or that you have a freaking kitchen to make some soup. You don't even have to be a gourmet chef to have a kitchen. You could get some soup, or, whatever, make a salad. But she couldn't make anything. She couldn't even get to her silverware. So those are things that I don't know, my heart just kind of just goes out a little more for people like that. Um, just kind of struggling in their own stuff. And then you want to, like, it's one thing to have like a shit job and you're like, well, I need the job because I need the money. And you come home and you're like, oh, I'm done. I'm home. I have the weekend off. And then you go into a place like that and you have nowhere to go. Where do you go? She's sleeping on smaller than a twin spot. Her cat was questionably dead. It ended up not being dead, but at the time I'm like, your cat's dead. I don't know where your cat is. I can't even see it because there's just a sea of boxes. And, we don't fit, one of the things too. There's so many things. I could say one of the things, a million things that people say to me in conversations I have with people. And some of them we dive real deep, and some of them are very superficial, kind of surface. But one of the things that is talked about a lot is, well, these are clothes that I want to fit in. I've gained some weight. Some weight is, that's kind of whatever. It's to whatever. Some people, if you've gained 20 pounds and you lose the same 20 pounds 7 times in a year, doesn't phase you, But I do remember a long time ago, one of the first year or two that I was actually starting my business and kind of diving into projects, I remember going into this woman's master bedroom. It was very large. It was a very large bedroom. It had almost like built-in cabinets, almost like a built-in desk. And then there was like 7 or 8 huge, the big clear bins, like garage, but double size. And it was all these clothes. And I'm like, well, what are these clothes? Why are these, do these need to go in the closet if we're working on this room? She's like, oh no, those are the clothes I gained weight. I can't fit in anymore. And I said, okay, well, how long have you had them in this bin? Well, since I had my kids, since after my first pregnancy, I've never been the same. Well, how old's your oldest kid? 13. So that means for 14 years, they have been in this bin. At least 13, but probably 14, because once you start getting pregnant, things are tight and tighter and tightest. So here's what I tell people, like, yeah, I mean, and she gained like a lot of weight. It was like 100 pounds over the course of 13 years because she's had 3 kids and she, whatever. And there's no judgment there. But what I do tell people is, hey, when you lose more than 5 pounds, you're going to freaking go buy shit. You are going to be so excited to celebrate that you don't have to wear those jeans anymore, and you're going to get a new pair of jeans that make you feel good, and you're going to get something that makes you feel good. And everybody does it. You can keep one pair of jeans. Keep the jeans that you thought you were the biggest, fattest person in the world and they were like a size 4 when you were in high school or college, like, oh God, I wish I was as fat as I was back then. Yeah, so do I. I really wish I was as fat as I was when I thought I was fat. So I really wasn't that fat. Keep those. Keep something that, made you feel really beautiful and special. But do you need to keep every shirt you got from Old Navy, every t-shirt because it's an extra large and you used to be, or, now you're in an extra large and it was a small? No, because you know what? You're going to want to buy new, not a whole new wardrobe, probably not even a third of all of that, and your style has changed and the material, it's cheap shit, it's this elastic and all that. Just like donate it, give it to people that have absolutely nothing, because right now you have stuff and you just have bins that are taking up a very large master closet or master bedroom that you didn't really need to. And I kind of talked her through, getting rid of some of it. We pared it down. I wouldn't say we got rid of all of it, but we definitely pared it down. There's just a lot of emotional stuff. We associate things with memories. A lot of memories for me are decorations, Christmas decorations. My mom, the only thing that I can say that we kind of hung on to, and starting in the early 80s, is my mom started buying me dated ornaments from the Hallmark store. I can't remember if it's 82 or 84 is my first one, and it was the Muppets, and it was a round, like a round ball ornament that had a date and it had the Muppets on it. And ever since then, that's her tradition, and she buys us an ornament every year. Now she gets David one, and Charlotte gets her own, and we get little ornaments for the doggies and stuff. But when I see those ornaments, it just brings magic and a joy that I enjoy. And it comes out at Christmas once a year, and that's for me, and that's what I enjoy. And, when my mom is not with me anymore, which will be a day I never want to talk about, but I do remember those. And I just remember how excited I was when I would take them out of the box, because they're still in the boxes that they came in, and I would unwrap them and put them on the tree. So there are things that I am not a heartless person. I do understand, and I love it. And it makes me so happy to see certain decorations. And especially now with Charlotte, because she remembers certain things, or I remember certain things when she was first born. And, she has like 5 sets of baby's first Christmas stockings and hats and all this stuff. And I'm like, I know she only needs the one memory, but I'm keeping all of them. So, there's things that just bring me joy, and usually tears of joy, not tears of sadness, but just special things. So there's an exception to everybody. There's moments where you're ready, there's moments when you're not ready. There's people that cannot get rid of anything. And I've seen that too, and it's very hard for me, because my goal is, let's thin it out, let's make it the most important thing, let's make it the most special thing, let's make it stuff that you really go wow. And I know, the organizer Marie Kondo, what brings you joy, this and that. Sure, you can follow that, but just like, what brings you great memories, how you feel in certain things, like, a certain outfit, maybe it was your first date with your husband, or your wedding, and whatever it was. There's some things, and then there's some things like, who cares, you may care, and that's okay. But a black dress, you have 85 of them, there was of no significance, but you liked them because it was a little black dress. Maybe pare it down and give it to somebody who doesn't have anything. Lots of things. I can talk till I'm dead about it, and I love talking about it, and I love answering questions. So if you have any questions of any of the episodes, if any questions, no question is stupid. No question is silly. If you follow me on Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes, if you follow, maybe I'll answer those questions for you, or you send me a DM on social, or my website is initsproperplace.com, and that's the name of my company, In Its Proper Place, because I want to find a place for everything, and it brings me joy, and I'm really happy. And some days I come home and I will have somebody text me the next day, or I'll have somebody send me a text a week later and say, you know what, you changed my life. I can't believe how much you did in the time that we did it. And I just feel so good. I can breathe. There's not this tension. There's just different things. And, I always joke. I'm always like, well, I know I'm a magician. I'm not a magician. I just go in with no emotional connection. So it makes it very easy to make those tough decisions. So I would love to make tough decisions with you guys. I would love to share a million more stories. I think next week I might, or next episode, maybe just dive into the kitchen because I love talking about the kitchen because it's the heartbeat of the house. But so many things to talk about. I love sharing my stories and my insight. Take it with a grain of salt, but I enjoy it. Please reach out with anything. Please subscribe if you haven't, like if you haven't, send me emails, send me feedback, rate the podcast. I'm so thankful, and I feel that sometimes this word is a little misused, but I'm so blessed that I have this business. At the end of May will be 9 years, and that I get to talk about it, and I enjoy it, and I still enjoy it as much as I did. I might enjoy it even more because before it was just trying to figure it all out and juggle it all, and now I can kind of take a breather and then like really things that I did in the beginning that I don't do now, and just certain things and trends and this and that. So many things. I hope to hear from you guys. I hope that you're listening. I hope that you love it. Please leave feedback. Please reach out with any questions. And I thank you so much for listening. And I look forward to talking to you again on the next one. Have a great day.